The controversy just doesn't seem to go away anytime PlayStation posts on Twitter, because they're back to actually posting regularly now. You will see it flooded with people saying no disc, no buy, and all sorts of stuff. They've announced that they're going to be at the San Diego Comic-Con with some live stage stuff. They've got Wolverine and some other games there, and I'm pretty sure that there might be some people there that have some stuff to say. But will this actually result in any changes? Well, based off of the information that we've gotten so far from analysts out there, they don't think Sony's going to change. I think they think, or more like the thought process with all of this, is that Sony is thinking that they're going to make too much money being able to take all of the profits. We talked about this with Jason Schreier and how he broke down the sales and what you get from a packaged physical good compared to a all digital game through PSN, where they collect 100% of the profits and everything. So that is the biggest reason. They are leveraging the fact that people are just not going to move over, that they are going to get over it, that people are just going to say, okay, well, I still want to play my FC, my Madden, my Call of Duty, and my big PlayStation games, so oh well. But we do have some information here, which it says in the title. You guys have seen it, and it's actually a follow-up to my other video that I did talk about how the Nintendo Switch 2 sales are exploding after the announcement of ending physical games. Now, there's also an alternative thing here talking about how PC gaming could get a nice little bump if people decide to move over, because PC is known to be, of course, open platform. It also has different marketplaces for competing games, which is probably one of the biggest things here. Ownership over games and the licenses compared to maybe owning it through like GOG or what PC has, but also competing storefronts. If you only go through PSN, they can completely control prices. So you can have games, for example, like Gran Turismo 7 on the PlayStation Network that's $70, but you can buy it cheaper if you get it from Amazon or somewhere else. So we're going to go over some of the information that we've got here with people saying that they're going to leave, and a poll that was conducted, small scale poll, but still some information about what is going on here. Are people actually going to leave? Are the sales exploding with the Nintendo Switch 2? So we'll talk about that and some other Nintendo Switch 2 news as well. But before we continue, we are giving away a Nintendo Switch 2 at 140,000 subscribers, or on September 1st, whichever comes first. Subscribe, like, comment. The winner will be chosen at random, and it's a worldwide giveaway. Thanks, peeps. Okay, let's start off here. We've got some posts on Twitter where we have this person saying that they sold their PS5, officially done supporting PlayStation and Sony as a customer, going all Switch 2 and PC from now on. Then you also have another person, Coffee Gamer, that stated that they got a Switch and they've completely sold off their PS5 and invested that into an RTX 5080 and turned the PC into a high-end machine. You also have Paladin over here as well saying, finally can say I bought a Switch 2. So this is all kind of just going. And this is just 3 examples, guys. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of these posts on Twitter. I can't post everything, but there are thousands of people that are saying, selling my PS5 or sold my PS5, and I'm getting a Switch 2, or just buying a Switch 2, or just saying I'm going to invest into PC. Now, once again, that could be a small thing compared to the millions, the tens and millions of people who actually have a PlayStation 5 and are planning on getting a PlayStation 6. So we'll have to wait for everything there. Heck, Sony hasn't even revealed the PlayStation 6 yet. We don't know what features it's going to have. We don't know what they're going to do with some of the games. We don't know what they're going to do with a lot of stuff. I'm guessing it's going to be super high-end. People are going to like it. It's probably going to be like, if you like PlayStation, you're going to like what they do next, and you're going to want that power. So I do think that some people are definitely going to buckle or sway once Sony shows off how good the games look and all of that. But there are some people that are standing on business with their principle. Now, over on Push Square, which has some of the most hardcore PlayStation fans out there, there was a poll that they did talking about the whole controversy, how many of the enthusiasts are going to leave Sony for PC, and apparently PS5 has put a dampener on gaming. 45% of enthusiasts seriously considering leaving Sony for PC. So seriously considering leaving it. So they have different polls set up. Are you moving from PlayStation to PC? With over 6,500 votes for some of them. When people talk about considering PC, over 5,233 votes, kind of what's going on there. And a lot of people are very upset when it comes to ending physical games. Some of the highest percentages and reasons why is because of that, if they are moving over or considering it's because of what's happening there with the physical games. Some of it is based off of cost, if we're gonna get it or not. If it's $1,000, which it's definitely looking like it's going to be $1,000, or they're going to have a problem with the PlayStation 5 Pro, or they're going to discontinue, or they're going to drop the price on the PS5 Pro. I'm not sure. I don't know what's going to happen, because that system is $900 without a disc drive, you know. So maybe the writing was on the wall when they started removing the disc drives from Pro systems. But if you look at everything in totality, I'm not trying to say that all of a sudden nobody's going to buy a PlayStation 6 because of the physical game controversy. You've got a lot of people that are actually defending it and saying that physical games are obsolete and I don't buy it, so why should anybody else buy it? And really stupid things like that when it comes down to like, oh, well, you know, the economy of it. Like, okay, well, I want to be able to own my game, lend my game out, trade my game without having to worry about accounts. You know, Sony can just remove stuff from your account anytime that they want to. Sure, are they going to do it? Probably not, but you know they can. There's something in there that says that if you are inactive for 3 years, they can close your account down, which that's fine, but that's why maybe you don't want to have all your games tied to an account, you know, so people can hack your account. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff that can happen, and that's why choice. It's not like we're trying to get rid of one or the other. We want both. We want digital and we want physical. Listen, if Sony said, hey, people like streaming a lot and streaming is the future, so we're gonna get rid of digital, the digital people would be upset because you don't want to stream, you want digital. So I think that it should be all of them. There should be streaming, there should be digital, there should be physical games. When you give consumers options and choices, that's better for everyone. Trying to remove an option because you don't use it, that doesn't make anything better. Heck, that might even make things worse, because sometimes you'll see discounts and sales on a physical game, and sometimes that will transfer over to the digital version. The publisher will see that and say, okay, we'll match that when it comes down to it. So to me, at least, that's how it should be. And if they don't change it, yeah, not everyone is going to abandon Sony, but there's going to be a lot more people based off of all the posts that I've seen and just some of the momentum that Nintendo's having. Ocarina of Time is coming out, Fire Emblem's coming out, Xenoblade Genesis is coming out, Pokemon Winds and Waves is coming out, 3D Mario is coming out. There are going to be a lot of people that are opting to say, okay, maybe I will get rid of this and go into it, and I'll see or wait about the PlayStation 6. So it's one of those things to where Sony has to tread real carefully here. There is seeming to be a shift. There was already momentum behind the Switch 2 because of the great exclusives and the consistent exclusive lineup releases pretty much every single month or so. There's something good to play, and I do think the price of it, obviously not being $1,000 and still supporting physical games, yes, game key cards, but at least game key cards tie it to not your account, they tie it to the actual cartridge itself. It's on a server, but it's not tied to an account and everything. So you can sell it, you can trade it, you can play it on multiple systems. You don't have to worry about that. There's been some misinformation going around that you can only use it one time or it's like a code or something. That is not true. You can essentially play it just like a physical game after it's downloaded on any system. It's not tied to an account or anything like that. It's also not even tied to the eShop when it comes to that. It's tied to just like a server that's there and it downloads the game. So for me, at least, I don't like game keycards, but at least there is that option compared to just all digital. Plus, all of Nintendo's first-party worldwide published games are going to be on cart, and there is a growing selection of third-party developers that are putting their games full on cartridge. We're going to talk about one of them in the next story here, but it does seem like there is a little bit of a shift, but I don't think it marks the end of PlayStation or anything. I do think that if the system is $1,000 and of course they get rid of physical games, you are going to see more of an enthusiast system. I don't think the fervor that you got when it comes to it selling as well as maybe some of the past PlayStation systems, I'm not sure if they're going to be able to put that over the course of a long period. Yes, at the beginning, sure, of course you're going to have the scalpers, you're going to have the enthusiasts go out there and get it, but afterwards, $1,000 plus, no physical games, that's going to be a tough sell for a lot of more of the casual consumers, especially when the PlayStation 5 is still going to be on the market and have physical titles of the games that have released before January 2028. And it's still going to get all of those casual games like Call of Duty and Madden and FC and NBA 2K and Fortnite and Roblox. It still has all that, which is some of the most popular games on PlayStation's platform. So there's going to be a lot of reasons why people don't need to switch over to the PlayStation 6. So I do think that it is going to take a hit, but maybe Sony is completely okay with that because they're making so much money on microtransactions and revenue from these games that they don't have to worry too much about not being able to sell as many systems right there at launch, because they have the PlayStation 5 as a plan that's still working with 50 million subscribers on PSN. And if you're looking at some of the other stuff that we've seen so far when it comes to the Nintendo Switch 2, pretty much the same follow-up that I gave with my previous video. You go on Amazon, Switch 2 is by far the best selling system, best sellers across Target, Best Buy, Walmart, in my locations and areas. Spoke with a few different people that work in distribution with management in some of these big retail chains. Switch 2 by far selling the best, especially after the price increases. We saw that with the Circana sales. We're seeing it with the Japanese sales, triple what the PlayStation 5 sold, or about triple what the PlayStation 5 sold. So even though it's more expensive there in Japan over the PlayStation 5 digital version, still selling better there. So pretty much in most places, from what you can see, Switch 2 is moving more units, and it does seem to be doing better. Now, there is going to be a price increase for the Nintendo Switch 2 later this year in September 1st to be exact. So we're gonna have to kind of monitor and see how it does afterwards. But up until then, they do have the Choose Your Game bundle. They also have the $450 base Nintendo Switch 2. Completely backwards compatible with Nintendo Switch 1 games is a huge value proposition for so many people out there, especially if you can't afford as many games right off the top, $70 games or whatever, or $80 when it comes to Mario Kart if you're not getting that bundle. So it is something that I think people are taking advantage of, and we're seeing that in the sales numbers. Now, will we see a boost in the US sales numbers for this upcoming month? The gaming industry is not in a good spot. A lot of studios are getting gutted. People are getting laid off. Layoffs at Bethesda, layoffs at ZeniMax, all sorts of stuff everywhere, getting let go left and right. So right now the industry is making money, but it's not healthy because the top performers, the top movers, Fortnite, Roblox, and all that, they're doing all of that and they're making all the money, or a lot of the money. And then you have Nintendo off on this like weird little island, but that's making so much noise, everybody else over there can hear it. They are putting in work, but their business model, what they do, how they operate, and why people are gravitating towards it so much right now, it's something that a lot of these companies can't replicate because they decided to go down just the power route and kind of get rid of some of the whimsical and more fun things that were in their library to try to train their audience into certain stuff. And I think that it might catch up with them. This might be the generation that the tech and the prices and the non-diversification of what you do finally catches up to Microsoft and Sony, based off of all of the shutdown studios, all of the layoffs, and all the issues that they've had, even looking at selling systems. I mean, PlayStation 5 is not selling as good as PlayStation 4 aligned. It's underneath. Still got GTA that's coming out. I think they're kind of banking on that to be the big savior of everything. But obviously the Xbox Series is not selling as well as the Xbox One and nowhere near the 360. And of course the Nintendo Switch 2 is beating out both those launch aligned, selling better. So I do think that it's a trying time in the industry, but we'll see what happens. But we're also going to see what happens with Orbitals. This game is looking awesome. I've been talking about it quite a bit. I want to make sure that I talk about it as much as possible, or whatever I can, because it's a game that's third-party title that's full on cart. It's a Switch 2 exclusive. It's a co-op style game, kind of like It Takes Two or kind of like Split Fiction. It's like that, but the previews for this game are ravingly good. They are talking about how this game is super fun. It's got some innovative gameplay mechanics in there, and now we have the Orbitals voice cast being announced in addition to the opening animation. You guys know who Rebecca Wang, Stephen Fu, Jonathan Ha, and more are all in this. So it's really cool to see some of these great voice actors in here. And I love what they're talking about when it comes to the characters. They give a little description of them. So Maki, as you can see here, the blue-haired girl, you guys know who she is, voiced by Rebecca Wang, strong-headed mechanic and the youngest person in the settlement. And then you have Omura, voiced by Stephen Fu, a quiet cartographer, often lost in his own train of thought. Omura and Maki grew up on the settlement together like twins. Japanese voice cast includes Risa, Kageyama, Ryota, Osaka, and more. Now, Orbitals is due out exclusively for the Nintendo Switch 2 on September 3rd. I have got some questions wondering if this game is going to come over to Xbox and PlayStation or PC, and I think it eventually will. I think they were just trying to really hit the Nintendo Switch 2 because they are a brand new development studio, and the Switch 2 has such a unique premise for out of the box co-op play or very easy co-op play anywhere. So they decided to go with the Switch 2 and really just nail that system and everything, since they are a small team. They don't want to kind of spread themselves too thin with all the tech across Xbox, PlayStation, and PC. So just get it out on Switch 2, see how it does. Then of course you can just port it over later once you have time, more funds coming in and all of that. So I think that's the reason why, but it's looking good. Orbitals looks like it's going to be a great game. They've got this opening animation. I love the old school retro aesthetic of like the 80s or /90s anime. Looks great. Orbitals is going to be a fun game. They've done some really cool stuff. So if you haven't checked it out yet, when it comes to the gameplay segments and all that, check it out. It's really cool. And the previews for Orbitals, I've read some of them and I'm excited to get the game. And remember, you do get $10 off on Amazon if you decide to buy it there. So you can get the $50 physical version for $40 on Amazon pre-order. So you can go in and get that done. Or of course you can just get it digitally too as well. So what do you think when it comes to everything we talked about here? A lot of stuff. Let me know in the comment section below. All right, peeps, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch 2 RPG content and more right here on screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you for the next one. Peace.